All right. We will begin. If there are any Spanish speaking attendees, to obtain a copy of the presentation slides and or listening session recording in a language or languages other than English, please contact our equal opportunity specialist, Gabriel D. Zayas, at 202-655-7842, or Gabriel.dzayas-rodriguez at USDA.gov. Next slide. All right. Today's information session is being recorded. The recording and slides will be posted to our website and sent in an email to those who registered. All right, next slide. So we thank you all for joining us today, and happy holidays, everyone. To learn more about the National 4-H Conference and how you can participate to help young people learn, practice, and apply new skills and use their voices, talent, and ideas to make a difference. Today's presentation is intended for 4-H and Extension professionals. Youth who want to attend conference should reach out to their local state 4-H office or land grant university for information on how to get involved. Again, just to inform you, today's information session is being recorded. The recording and slides will be posted to the website and sent in the email to those who registered. Next slide. All right. Please see our National 4-H Conference team comprised of NIFA staff within the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. All right, next slide. So my name is Maurice Smith, and I'm a National Program Leader in the Division of Youth and 4-H within the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. After I provide the overview and history of the National 4-H Conference, I will also share the experiences and outcomes from the attendees' participation in 2025. Following, Kendall Barney, Chris Petty, and Shelley Bright Manga will share information about the 2026 National 4-H Conference, including the program, schedule, land grant university responsibilities, and next steps. Finally, as questions arise, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature. We have allotted time also at the end of the presentation for any further questions and answers. Now, I will talk to you a little bit about the overview and brief history about the National 4-H Conference. Next slide. Although we know many of you are experts in 4-H, we'd like to share a little more about it to ground the conversation and to introduce 4-H to those who are new to the program. 4-H is the youth outreach program of the United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, where USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture is home to the 4-H national headquarters. 4-H is implemented by the Cooperative Extension System through over 110 land grant universities and colleges across the United States and its territories. Next slide. So the National 4-H Conference is one of these experiences. USDA has hosted the National 4-H Conference, also known as the Secretaries Conference, since 1927. The goal of conference is to develop the next generation of leaders to solve societal problems. We do this by bringing more than 300 young people from across the United States and its territories who travel to Washington, D.C. each spring to share their voice with federal agencies and congressional committees on a wide range of topics that are important to them and our partners with the goal of impacting change in America. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the National 4-H Conference has a rich history dating back to 1927. The National 4-H Conference was originally called the National 4-H Club Camp, where delegates slept in tents on the grounds of the National 4-H Mall in front of USDA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Today, National 4-H Conference remains true to its original intent to develop the next generation of leaders while continuing to be the future focus. We are also so excited that in 2027, the National 4-H Conference will be celebrating 100 years. All right, next slide. So in 2025, youth attended from 40 states and 2 territories. This shows an interactive map, shows generally widespread participation with a few scattered missing states, particularly states farther away from Washington, D.C. In the pre-conference survey, 86% of youth traveled by air to the event. An additional 8% came by car, 5% charter bus, and 1% by train. No participants were living on military bases outside of the United States this particular year. Next slide. A total of 222 youth attended the National 4-H Conference, and there was a slightly decrease of 66% over the previous year. However, the reduction was further impacted by travel restrictions for our military youth programs. Youth participants are mostly experienced 4-H members with 5 or more years in the program. Only 2% have participated for 1 year or less than 1 year. Next slide. So as a result of the National 4-H Conference in 2025, you've provided responses on the 4-H Common Measures Social Skills Assessment. In the belonging measures, we found that an overwhelming number of answers were aligned with a positive indication of quality. The agency measures are good, but there is still room for improvement. The contribution indicators are the strongest of the three, with the most positive answer, yes, getting more than 78 to 85% of responses in all areas. Thinking about the future received positive responses from 93.9% of youth. The delegates felt most positively about how they could share what they knew, meaning helping the community or teaching others. Next slide. So youth delegates reported a significant increase in their capacity for leadership, civic engagement, and an increased level of agency because of attending this National 4-H Conference experience. After conference, more than 92% of attendees intend to seek out civic engagement opportunities, feel a sense of responsibility to solve problems, and feel empowered to make a difference in their communities. Next slide. So the National 4-H Citizenship Mission Mandate Logic Models defines 4-H citizenship as the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and motivation that give youth the capacity to move beyond one's individual self-interest and to be committed to the well-being of some larger group. To reach the goals of advocacy, youth voice, and informed decision-making, the National 4-H Conference intentionally incorporates personal development in leadership, mutual respect, and problem solving throughout the program. All right, next slide. Based on the post-survey responses regarding youth experience in their roundtable sessions, we can see that overall, the participants felt that their roundtable presentation was successful and that their overall experience was highly positive. Most found the topic very interesting. The quality of facilitation was quite high, and most indicated that they had a healthy group dynamic. Youth also felt very good about their presentation and its impact on the federal agency partner. Next slide. So you may be asking, how can your delegation enhance outcomes based on the youth feedback from conference? Well, you're at the right place at the right time. Well, some suggestions could be exploring Washington, D.C. and scheduling Capitol Hill visits. Number 2, helping your youth delegates feel confident by reviewing the delegate handbook and schedule. Number 3, becoming present and active in the engaged learning and experiences throughout the networking and peer engagement in the conference activities. And 4, encourage preparation for your youth delegates in creating lasting connections with their peers. And now I'll turn it over to Kendall.
Thank you, Maurice. So jumping into some logistics and details for the 2026 National 4-H Conference. Next slide, please. The 2026 conference will be held from Friday, April 10th to Wednesday, April 15th at the Hyatt Regency Crystal City Hotel in Arlington, Virginia. Young people who participate in conference we refer to as delegates. The National 4-H Conference is considered a multi-day working conference for these youth delegates who will participate in roundtable discussions, youth perspective briefings, and a variety of historical and cultural activities. Next slide, please. The objectives of this year's conference are to enhance opportunity by creating a welcoming environment for all young people involved in 4-H to attend the conference, to encourage partnerships between 1862, 1890, and 1994 land-grant institutions and engagement with more federal partners before, during, and after the conference. And finally, to facilitate youth exploration, helping them to gain valuable skills and learn about citizenship, leadership, and agricultural prosperity. Next slide, please. There are many ways that youth, as well as our federal and LGU partners, can participate and be involved in the National 4-H Conference. Federal partners play a key role by presenting an issue of importance on which they would like to receive youth insight. Participating agencies provide young people an opportunity to see firsthand how they can influence government decision-making and contribute to the work being done around their assigned challenge question topic. All land-grant colleges and universities are invited to select and send high school-aged 4-H participants, along with chaperones, to the National 4-H Conference. Each is encouraged to partner with their state to select a delegation. Youth delegates then choose their topic, research the issue, and work with their peers to develop a 45-minute youth perspective briefing through which they will formally present their recommendations to the federal partner. Youth and college-age participants can also apply to serve in various leadership roles at the National 4-H Conference. Next slide, please. A key component of the National 4-H Conference is amplifying youth voice, and one way we do this is through a peer leadership model. Youth and adults can serve in various leadership positions by either applying for the Youth Leadership Team, or the YLT, or the Collegiate Facilitator Team. The YLT is made up of 6 high school students and 2 adult advisors. They are assembled to provide youth voice in conference planning and implementation. And we're excited to announce that the adult advisors for the YLT this year are Tiki Hunt with University of Arkansas Pine Bluff and Nicole Swinson with Virginia State University. The Collegiate Facilitator Team is made up of 24 college students and 2 adult advisors. This group is assembled to host and facilitate youth roundtable groups. Each roundtable group is given a challenge question submitted by the federal agency, and the roundtable groups then prepare a 45-minute briefing that is presented to that agency. And we're thrilled to announce that the adult advisors for the collegiate facilitators this year are Megan Skiba with Purdue University and Joseph Cho with University of Maryland. Additionally, the lead collegiate facilitators for this year's group are Rosabelle Surla with Northern Marianas College and Helena Peterson with University of Florida. Next slide, please. As part of the registration process, youth delegates will confirm that they have read the 2026 Delegate Handbook, and chaperones will confirm that they read the 2026 Delegate Handbook as well as the guidebook for 1862, 1890, and 1994 staff and volunteers and other travel groups. The Delegate Handbook is a resource used to help prepare delegates for their experience at the National 4-H Conference, and it's full of useful information and helpful tips such as general information about Washington, D.C., dress attire recommendations, emergency procedures, and much more. And we ask delegates to bring a paper or digital copy of the Delegate Handbook with them to the conference. Land-grant university staff and volunteers, including roundtable coordinators, chaperones, adult advisors, and collegiate facilitators, should also review the National 4-H Conference Guidebook for 1862, 1890, and 1994 staff and volunteers. Both of these documents are currently available. They're on the National 4-H Conference Resources webpage. Next slide. The following items are the responsibility of the land-grant university or other travel group chaperone. Regarding conduct and discipline, chaperones and land-grant universities are responsible for enforcing the code of conduct and disciplinary action where necessary. Land-grant colleges and universities, in consultation with USDA NIFA and the conference logistics coordinator if applicable, reserve the right to dismiss or remove any National 4-H Conference participant that does not adhere to the rules and procedures as outlined in the guidebook. If any of the following consequences may be used, depending on the severity of the situation. The participant may receive a verbal warning. The participant may remain at the event or activity, but may possibly be barred from a future event. The participant may be asked to leave the event or activity. If a youth is asked to leave, their LGU or travel group must notify the parent or guardian as well as arrange their escort home. And finally, the participant may be alerted to local law enforcement if compromising the safety of others or conducting unlawful activity. Since the nature of offensive behavior may range from minor infractions to serious violations, the disciplinary action should reflect an appropriate consequence, and all corrective actions are intended to serve a restorative purpose rather than a punitive measure. Travel groups should have a disciplinary procedure in place, and that includes documentation, corrective action or termination from National 4-H Conference, and an appeal process, if any. Regarding medical care and insurance, chaperones should have access to any information necessary to ensure that appropriate medical care is provided to those in their care. If an emergency situation arises, chaperones are responsible for seeking medical assistance for those in their delegation. Travel group staff and volunteers should know and follow established procedures for reporting accidents or making insurance claims based on the policies of your state, employer, or affiliated institution. The conference logistics coordinator will provide individual accident insurance from American Income Life Insurance Company for participants attending National 4-H Conference. Contact information is also available for them in the guidebook, and as a note, NIFA will not collect or have access to medical information. Regarding supervision and room assignments, LGUs and other travel groups are responsible for selecting chaperones and assigning rooms. The preferred ratio supervision is 5 youth per 1 adult at events and activities related to National 4-H Conference. And for this purpose, adult is defined as someone 21 years of age or older. And finally, when transportation is not provided by the conference logistics coordinator, chaperones should follow their institution's transportation policies. Please consult the delegate handbook schedule at a glance for when the delegation will be responsible for its own transportation. Next slide, please. USDA NIFA does not regulate or enforce youth or chaperones attire. There are no requirements for attire. The general information provided in the handbook is just to assist participants in understanding that some events are more casual or less casual than others. Young people new to the 4-H ceremony might not have any idea what to expect at the event, so our goal was to provide general recommendations, but not to be prescriptive. We refer to the adults and young people attending to work through what is appropriate and work within any dress code requirements they may have at their specific institutions. That said, we generally recommend business casual attire for the opening assembly, business professional attire for the Youth Expo, Youth Perspective Briefing, Capitol Hill visits, and closing assembly, and otherwise casual attire for all other events such as roundtable sessions and the 4-H ceremony. Next slide. Further details of LGU and chaperones' responsibilities will be covered at the chaperone orientation on Wednesday, March 18th at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. The Microsoft Teams invitation link will be sent to all registered chaperones and LGU points of contact. Next slide. This year, we'll also invite adult chaperones, staff, and volunteers to serve as roundtable coordinators. Roundtable coordinators are liaisons between youth roundtable groups and federal partners for the youth perspective briefings. Each roundtable coordinator will be assigned one roundtable group and collaborate with the collegiate facilitator, to whom they provide support and coaching before and during the week of National 4-H Conference. NIFA staff will support roundtable coordinators before and during the conference as well to ensure a successful roundtable experience. To be successful in meeting the expectations of the role, roundtable coordinators need to have strong communication skills, and the ability to adapt communication strategies and language as needed to converse with teenagers, young adults, as well as government officials is highly beneficial. More information about this role will be provided on the National 4-H Conference Resources webpage in January. And adult staff interested in serving in this role can indicate so in registration and provide a brief overview of related experience with leadership, facilitation, and coordination, as well as experience interacting with young people and government officials. We will notify if you have been selected for the role in late February after the registration period closes. Roundtable coordinators should also plan to attend an additional orientation on Thursday, March 12th, as well as a virtual meet and greet with the federal partner on Thursday, March 19th, and a pre-conference webinar with the federal partner the week of March 23rd. Next slide. The National 4-H Conference program largely revolves around the roundtable experience. So the challenge questions, roundtable sessions, and youth perspective briefings, they're a fundamental part of conference. Each federal partner provides a challenge question for youth to research, brainstorm, and present on during the conference. Youth delegates work together in groups referred to as roundtables, each led by a collegiate facilitator to develop recommendations and present them to the federal partner in a 45-minute youth perspective briefing. The roundtable experience provides young people an opportunity to think critically about current issues, investigate and discuss the agency's current efforts, and provide a youth perspective, as well as recommend new ideas to bring about positive change. The youth spend most of the first 2 full days of conference researching and discussing the topic with their groups. They organize their ideas into a professional presentation, and then the presentations are delivered at a local DC area office for their federal agency partner. Each roundtable group consists of youth delegates, a trained college student facilitator, and a roundtable coordinator, and 3 or 5 chaperones are assigned to each group to provide supervision and support. Next slide. This slide includes a brief overview of the youth perspective briefing process. It's important that delegates read the delegate handbook to help prepare them for their experience at National 4-H Conference, and the handbook is full of useful information. Challenge questions will be posted online in early January. And at registration, delegates select the top 3 challenge question topics from the list that they would like to work on at the conference. If 3 preferences are not selected or no preference is selected, delegates will be randomly assigned a topic. And then after delegates are assigned their challenge question, they meet with their roundtable group prior to and during the conference to research and brainstorm ideas. And then the group gives their 45-minute presentation at the federal agency on the Youth Perspective Briefing Day. And federal agencies are then encouraged to remain engaged with their group after the briefing and following the conference. Next slide. These are just a few of the federal partners we've worked with in the past. An official list of partners and the challenge questions for the 2026 conference will be announced in January before registration opens in February. And as always, we're very thankful for our previous and current federal partners' support of the National 4-H Conference. And with that, I'll pass the baton to Chris, who will go over the conference schedule at a glance.
Thank you, Kendall. As Kendall has said, the next few slides, we're going to talk about the day-to-day schedule in advance and a high-level viewpoint. Next slide, please. The 2026 National 4-H Conference will take place at the Hyatt Regency in Crystal City, as it has the last few years, and also in the greater Washington, D.C. area. Conference begins on Friday, April 10th, with registration and hotel check-in from 4 to 6 p.m., and conference activities kicking off at 6 p.m. with a dinner and opening assembly. An introductory roundtable session will take place on the first night. And if you arrive before the check-in period and would like to explore the D.C. area, we will have a bag check available. Next slide, please. All right. For Saturday, April 11th, in the morning, we'll have an orientation, which will be held during the breakfast. And in that orientation, we're going to review the schedule, the chaperone expectations, and answer any questions you may have. Delegates are going to spend the majority of Saturday, April 11th in their roundtable sessions. And so, as Kendall mentioned, it's very important that they pick sessions that they will be engaged with. Those are assigned based on the preferences selected on the registration form. And they're going to spend about 15 combined hours in those groups devoted to those challenge question topics. So it's essential that they get a topic that they're passionate about. Roundtable groups will have at least one collegiate facilitator, approximately 13 to 15 youth delegates, and approximately 4 to 6 assigned chaperones. And then Saturday, April 11th is going to end with a special performance from Koyoba Dance Theater. Next slide. All right, moving forward to Sunday, April 12th. Roundtable sessions are going to continue with the same assigned groups. Youth perspective briefing rehearsals will happen later in that day, and that provides a chance for the delegates to practice their presentation in front of an audience of their peers, chaperones, and NIFA staff. And from those practice sessions, they will receive constructive feedback for fine-tuning their presentations. After dinner on that day, the 4-H delegates will load buses for a special guided evening monument tour. Next slide. On Monday, April 13th, an orientation refresher will again be held during the breakfast to review the schedule, the chaperone expectations, and again to answer any questions. After breakfast, 4-H delegates will attend the Career Expo this year located in the hotel. And after lunch, delegations will load buses and head to their federal agencies to provide their youth perspective briefings. Afterwards, delegates are free to join their state for States Night Out activities, and delegations will be responsible for their own dinner and transportation back to the hotel. Next slide, please. On Tuesday, April 14th, conference delegates will load buses and after breakfast for the 4-H ceremony at USDA headquarters. The afternoon will consist of exploring the DC and Capitol Hill visits on your own, and then the evening will end with a closing celebration, ceremony, and dance. Next slide. On Wednesday, aside from breakfast, no events are scheduled, and hotel checkout is at 11 a.m. However, if you'd like to stay after checkout to further explore the DC area or to visit Capitol Hill, a bag check will be available. Next slide. As you can see, National 4-H Conference is considered a working conference with a busy schedule. There will be unstructured time on Monday and Tuesday if delegations choose to sightsee or visit Capitol Hill. Those Capitol Hill visits are optional, and each delegation is responsible for scheduling those appointments with their legislators on their own. Suggested times for scheduling those visits also include Friday if you arrive early before the 4 p.m. checkout, anytime on Wednesday after checkout as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shelley to cover the conference capacity and registration slides.
Thanks, Dr. Petty. All right, so I will be covering capacity and registration. Next slide, please. All right, so new capacity limits ensure participation for all delegations. The maximum capacity for the 2026 National 4-H Conference is 350 youth plus their adult chaperones. Due to increased interest in our conference and challenges many groups faced last year, delegation capacity limits were created and announced for 2026 and the future. Each LGU or travel group is guaranteed a total of 6 participants. So, for example, that's 4 youth and 2 adults, or 5 youth and 1 adult. Additional youths and adults may be allowed on a first come, first served basis, depending.
Because you've only had,
Oops,
because you only,
sorry, it's my background.
you're only. Yeah.
All right, so additional youth and adults may be allowed on a first come, first served basis, depending on hotel lodging and meeting space availability. If space is available, the total youths and adults per delegation may not exceed a maximum of 10 participants. So, for example, 7 youths, 3 adults, or 8 youths and 2 adults. Over the past few months, NIFA has been collecting attendance estimates through our outreach plan to state 4-H offices and state 4-H program leaders. At this time, I don't have that. So land-grant universities and other travel groups are responsible for selecting the youth and adult chaperones to attend. Please keep in mind, National 4-H Conference is designed to be a capstone, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For this reason, we discourage youth attending more than once to open opportunities for other youth. If youth who attended in the past are interested in attending again, we encourage them to apply for leadership positions to serve on the youth leadership team or collegiate facilitator team. Next slide, please. Right, thank you. So this is the registration. So the registration fee, the youth double occupancy room is $1,085. So registration will be collected by USDA NIFA's logistic partner. That will be S. Stewart and Associates, Susan Stewart and Jed Matthews, who will assist you with your registration needs, such as the online registration system, payment, and coordination of rooming assignments. Registration will open February 2nd through the February 23rd. And as mentioned earlier, the fee for a youth participant in a double occupancy room is $1,085, and for adults, will be $1,642. So the registration fee covers the cost of hotel lodging, meals provided, and a conference shirt. When completing the National 4-H Conference registration form, youth delegates and adult chaperones will have the opportunity to share their dietary restrictions and request reasonable accommodations. For minors, a parent and/or guardian consent is required. Land-grant universities will collect the registration forms from youth delegates and adult chaperones and enter the information into the online registration system. Once the registration opens, each land-grant university or other travel group will be able to register up to 10 youth and adults at the same time. Delegations will have the ability to select which 6 youth or adults are reserving the 6 guaranteed spots and which additional youth and adults they would like to add if space is available. The additional youth and adults will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis as soon as all land-grant universities and other travel groups have had a chance to claim their 6 spots. The delegation point of contact will be contacted immediately once additional youth and adults have been accepted. Now, payment can be made by check or credit card, and please note there will be additional convenience fee for the use of a credit card. To assist with your registration office hours will be held on February 4th at 3 p.m. Eastern. The office hours are optional for delegation coordinators to see a demo of the system, receive assistance with your registration, and to get questions answered. Next slide, please. All right, some registration, frequently asked questions and conference resources. So this slide is going to cover frequently asked questions about this year's registration process and new capacity limits. So what is the maximum capacity for the 2026 National 4-H Conference? That would be 350 youth plus their adult chaperones. Another popular question is, when will we know if the additional registrants have been accepted or denied? The answer is the additional youth and adults will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis as soon as all land-grant universities and other travel groups have had a chance to claim their 6 spots. If additional youth or adults are not accepted, will we be reimbursed for the registration fee? And the answer is yes. Another popular question would be, what happens in the event of a last-minute cancellation? So cancellations are inevitable but difficult to plan for, and the following procedures and deadlines will be used to ensure the conference logistics are not adversely impacted by cancellations and/or replacements. February 2nd through the 23rd, during the open registration period, LGUs or other travel groups will have the opportunity to replace a youth or adult cancellation with another youth or adult or opt to receive a full refund. February 23rd through March 8th, after registration is closed and before challenge question assignments have been announced, LGUs or other travel groups will have the opportunity to replace a youth or adult cancellation with another youth or adult. Refunds will not be issued after registration is closed. March 9th or later, after challenge question assignments have been announced, youth cancellations cannot be replaced with new youth. Adult cancellations may be replaced by another adult only to ensure supervision ratios, and refunds will not be issued after registration has closed. And also do feel free to scan the codes, the QR codes, and get a better understanding. Next slide, please. All right, so some accessibility requests. USDA is committed to creating inclusive environments where individuals with disabilities can quickly and easily request and obtain reasonable accommodation. If you need or a youth in your delegation needs a reasonable accommodation to participate in this event, the request should be submitted to Dr. Maurice Smith, National Program Leader, no later than March 6th. If interpretation or translation services are needed, the individual can visit NIFA Language Services or contact Gabriel DeZayas Rodriguez, Equal Opportunity Specialist. USDA is committed to providing reasonable accommodations, physical or religious, when requested. Our processing procedures are tailored to ensure that all individuals have full access to programs and events. Next slide, please. So what's next? We have 3 steps that are next. So registration, that's to register. Online registration will be open from February 2nd to February 23rd. The next step would be to attend the chaperone orientation. And this is where chaperones must attend an online chaperone orientation. And this will be held on Wednesday, March 18th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then last but not least, land-grant universities are responsible for booking their delegations' travel arrangements, scheduling Capitol Hill visits, and preparing youth delegates for the event. Next slide, please. We are going to be looking at some key dates. All right, this slide reviews key dates for planning purposes. So registration opens February 3rd and closes on February 24th. Office hours will be held on Wednesday, February 4th to allow you to get your registration questions answered by our logistics partner. After registration is closed, all registered chaperones will be invited to a mandatory chaperone orientation on March 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And the National 4-H Conference will be held April 10th to Wednesday, April 15th. Next slide, please.
We'll be around if any other questions pop up today, but otherwise I'll pass it back to Maurice.
Thank you. If the reactions are still on, let's give our National 4-H Conference planning team a round of applause. Thank you to the team for getting this. We're all to get the information out. I know it was closer to Christmas and in terms of happy holidays, but we thank you for joining us for the 2026 National 4-H Conference information session. Please email any of the addresses listed on your screen with questions, and we look forward to seeing you in April. Thank you.